Hi, so today I'd like to talk about the delivery of teaching and in particularly what students think about in terms of delivery of teaching in higher education. So this is based on my own experience teaching, but also from analysing millions of comments through the Student Voice platform. So we'll talk about 8 general topics here, and some of this will be obvious, but it's worth repeating the basic things that come up again and again and again when students talk about the delivery of teaching. So the first is use of teaching materials. Right? We want to make these as diverse as possible. Don't just give them one big plain text PDF. Try and involve other types of resources where possible. Send them out to news articles, videos, audio, whatever it may be. But whenever you are using any resources, you've got to make sure they're accessible, that everyone can get access to them and use them. Make sure slides are given the day in advance, so people using, say, screen reader technology can get them processed and get them ready to go. And also try and keep the materials as current as possible. Now, this isn't about keeping up to date with every single thing. It's about keeping generally current. And then every so often, if there's a news article about your thing, put up a slide, talk about it. If it's on the BBC this week and it's talking about your subject, just mention it. And again, it really helps relate these things for the students and helps engage the students. The next thing that comes up again is a type of environment you're teaching engenders. So we try to keep that as positive as possible by being as inclusive as possible. Make sure everyone feels included, try and support everyone that is in your class, right? And try and make sure they're all getting something from it. A big part of this is setting expectations, what you are going to do, what you're not going to do, right? Communication comes right the way through all of these comments, but setting expectations is really, really clear, and offering and giving support where it's needed, right? Be open to the fact that you will have to do things for certain students to make them get the most of your class, and that's part of your job. The next topic that comes up a lot is in relation to online teaching and good use of any virtual learning environment, the VLE. So we're not talking about making it fancy or making it massive and putting tons of stuff in it. Use your institution's template and standard stuff so students can have some confidence in how everything works, but just make sure everything's in the right spot. Is all the assessment materials in the assessment block, for instance? Do you have a week by week block for your lecture materials? Like the basics, just make sure it's all there and students will engage a lot better. Also in online teaching, we have the particular needs of balancing different types of teaching where you'll have pre-recorded lectures, maybe have live Q&As, maybe have asynchronous activities. Just try to find the right balance for your students in your course, and just try and keep that front of mind to sort of tweak that as you go along to make sure everyone's getting along well and learning what they need to learn. And lastly, with online teaching, it applies to all teaching, but in particular in online, is the clarity of the instructions. Make sure you are telling everyone exactly what they need to do and when. Try and have it in one place that the students know where it is, you know where it is. That's what's updated if there's any changes, so they know where to look and can get the instructions very easily. The other more general point here is around organization of your teaching. Again, when students are talking about delivery of teaching, organization comes up again and again and again. Particular points would be, is what you're teaching aligned with what the course is about, right? Have you just gone off script? Check your course documentation. What does it say this course is about? What you're teaching? Sometimes those things drift, as we know, over time. Make sure they're aligned. Make sure the syllabus is clear. This involves what you'll be teaching, but also say what the prerequisites are. What do you need to be able to do so students can go away and make sure and polish up they're up to speed with those prerequisites. And in terms of organization, try and be flexible. At universities, things happen, rooms are double booked, IT fails, might be a strike, whatever it may be. Be flexible and make sure you adapt and just try and get something to your students, even if things go wrong. So around communication is also around availability, right? Availability of staff. And the first step is saying, okay, how should your students contact you? This can be by email, by office hours, by knocking on your door, whatever it may be. You get to pick, but just be clear and say, this is my preferred method of communication. And you don't have to be there for all their problems, right? It's problems related to their course. Make sure you can point them to the central resources for solving their problems in a more effective way than you as the lecturer, right? This is about delivery of teaching. This isn't about the wider student experience. So make sure you're pointing them to the correct resources. And number one, just be approachable, right? Help them if you can. If you can't, point to someone else who maybe can. But having someone to talk to and someone they feel they can ask the question is a big thing. Now, in terms of the content and delivery of this content, again, you want to have that current knowledge of the field, right? Which keep it up to date for the last few years sort of stuff. But a key thing that students ask for again and again is real examples, right? How will this work in practice? Right? This can be from your experience, which is where the research-led teaching thing comes in, or from the news, whatever it may be. But some real examples really help make content and the teaching more engaging. And that's not much effort, really. What's much more effort but is also very rewarding is student co-creation. Okay, sitting down with students when you are doing that big update to your course and saying, okay, which content did you like, how do you change it, how do you improve it, how do you think about the assessments, how would you change that, and get student input when you are redesigning aspects of your course, and it will sort of give a real benefit going forward. In terms of trying to maximize engagement, because again, this is what a lot of us think of in terms of delivery of teaching. Active learning, give them something to do in the class, not just sitting down, copying off your PowerPoints, give them any activity to do. This can be think, pair, share, or group work, whatever it might be. Just for 5 minutes, even just breaks it up massively. Using online polling tools is another good one too. And also get them to do some peer learning, talk to each other, get them to explain the concept to each other for 30 seconds. Again, it breaks it up, but also gives them practice communicating their knowledge, critically analyzing and reflecting on their learning. These really key skills are across the board, really. And finally, give them the choice to do something themselves. Give them some autonomy wherever possible. Let them choose from different types of assessment. Let them choose different topics, subtopics within your topic. Give them some autonomy, and again, they will engage much more. And lastly, as ever in anything teaching, feedback rears its ugly head. But in terms of delivery of teaching, make sure you are clear when you are saying what the feedback is, when it's going to come, right? And signpost feedback. A lot of the problems around feedback are that different groups of students and lecturers have different conceptions of what feedback might be. Say, I'm giving you feedback now. You're going to get feedback from your peers in this session. You'll get written feedback, verbal feedback, whatever you say. Just make it clear that feedback is being given. And again, that really helps. Give them the chance to self-reflect, right? Put some onus of the feedback on themselves, right? Think about your own work in a structured way. And finally, peer review is great. It sort of builds on that peer learning we talked about previously, but get them to look at each other's work and sort of critically appraise it and decide, okay, which aspects are good and which aspects aren't. So that's a quick run through of the really common themes that come up around delivery of teaching. Thank you very much.